Hold on for a second. What's up, YouTube family? I would like you guys to make sure you like and subscribe to our video. It would help us get into the algorithms so we can be seen and bring more engaging content to you guys. So like I said, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Appreciate you. And welcome to the Pick and Dons podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zhu and Peebush. How you fellas doing?
Doing well, man. You know, it's been a rough year being a Bears fan. They finally got a win in Lambeau. I know Jordan Love got hurt, but honestly, Zoo, Packers weren't looking too hot anyways, man. I mean, I know Josh Jacobs got his touchdown, cooking per usual. But the Bears, man, they just needed a little morale boost. They needed a win. I don't care how it happened, who it was against. They just needed to finish the season on a win. And knowing that the Packers will finish their season on a loss is just – it's just beautiful, man. It's just beautiful.
And the thing is, it didn't really cost them like a draft position. It was only one pick. It only went down one pick down. So it's like if it dropped like 2 to 7, like 2 to 9. Oh, okay, yeah. Pretty much what the Patriots did, where they were guaranteed. Okay, then that would have been the worst loss ever. But like 9-10, like that's like whatever. They're in the seats here, so they didn't really lose much based on winning that game. And it was a long losing streak.
It was 10 games, man.
After 10, that, double digits. That's hard to do. That's hard to do.
Commanders.
Oh, I know. I remember after that, it was over. That bet was over.
10 in a row they lost.
Bears over. Never if you remember, his Bears over was 8.5.
8.5.
8.5. Not even close this year. Not even close. Had a little tweener games. Couldn't get any of those games done. But at least Caleb hit the over for 3,400 yards.
3,400. He's looking.
If you look at his raw stats, not bad. Not bad. Not Jaden Daniels good. That dude had one of the historic rookie seasons. He's in the playoffs, but Caleb Williams, he had a nice, solid rookie year.
Solid rookie year, and you know a guy who I got a shout out right here because we're not going to really talk about him on this podcast, but Bryce Young,
he finished strong.
Redemption.
Could you say that he's looking? I'm not saying overall, but he might have had a better season than C.J. Stroud.
Okay,
definitely a better last half of the season.
I can't say better season because that first half he looked like one of the worst players in football.
But since he got benched, and
that benching, like I don't know what happened and what he did, but he looks like a completely different player. That offense looked completely different.
Maybe he just stopped overthinking. That it kind of looks like he stopped overthinking. He
lost Deontay Johnson. Like I don't know. Like I don't know how they just got so much better because they won that game against an Atlanta team that needed to win.
Atlanta's defense is pretty freaking bad. 44? That was one of the
without Chuba.
Yeah. That's just crazy. So yeah.
Miles Sanders had a resurgence, man. I thought it was like 2017, man. I was like, what the hell?
Speaking of that game, I'm going to be very interested to see where Drake London goes next year. I think he's going to get. There might be some value because him with Michael Penix. Drake London might surge. I don't know. Everybody's probably going to be like, well, Michael Penix only played a couple games, but
I already saw a mock draft, Sean, because I'm already thinking about next season. And I think they had Drake London at the end of round 2 or at the turn of round 3.
And I'm going to go ahead and say that's going to be great value. Because Penix, the thing about Penix is different from Kirk's.
He was the 5th wideout in PPR this year, 5th or 6th.
Like, Penix throws the ball down the field, and Drake London's doing that. Like, he could have a resurgence. Because this, I think, because Kirk was such a short-lived fantasy for Drake London, but, like, now that Michael's going to be the guy and he looks like he's pretty good, Drake London might surge. So, and that offense might go, whatever with my Fleming and Pitts. So, yeah, we'll see. But we can talk about fantasy for next year at a future podcast. But right now, everybody's favorite thing, the playoffs are starting in the NFL, and everyone's uber excited with the game starting on Saturday. So I kind of want to get the guys' opinions on some of the wild card matchups. And starting off, we're going to be talking about the Chargers and the Texans, which I think is a kind of a toss-up. So, P-Bush, where you leaning here?
Oh, man. I got to say this right now. J.K. Dobbins absolutely screwed my fantasy season, man. But that's besides the point because I think it showed Jim Harbaugh you're forgetting that you have a potential top 5 talent at quarterback that leads your team. And when J.K. Dobbins went out, I know Gus Edwards, he held it down. He did enough. He got those goal line touchdowns. But Justin Herbert, who had gotten a bit of a resurgence towards the mid half of the year, had a couple good overlapping weeks with Dobbins' success up until his knee injury. But once Dobbins went down, they said, all right, we got to start passing the ball. Yep. And if Quentin Johnston is getting 13 catches for damn near 190 yards and actually looking pretty damn good. I know it's the Vegas Raiders. Take it for what you ever will. You got to beat the teams in front of you. But that's a confidence booster, and I think that's a huge win going into the playoffs against a team that I think we all agreed was going to be way better than they have performed this season. They're damn lucky that they are in the AFC South, and that's the Texans. Joe Mixon has not looked like the same player in the month of December. He is clearly gassed, and that's partially because they cannot throw the ball. The only person they can throw the ball to is Nico Collins, and I don't know about, maybe I'm missing something, but I have not seen a on-brand Nico Collins huge down the field throw in weeks. It's a lot of short passes. They're not getting wide open. You got John Mechie as your number 2, Robert Woods as your number 3, Dalton Schultz has fallen off the face of the earth, and you're putting pretty much the entire team on Joe Mixon. That ain't going to work, man. And I'm sorry, but Dameon Pierce is not going to run for another 90-yard touchdown. So I got the Chargers in this game. If you're a bed man, I like him at the -2.5. They're pretty much saying the Chargers are favored on the road. And I think they are the better team overall. And I think they have the firepower and the momentum to carry them through this wild card and potentially face their division rivals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, this is a no-brainer, man. It's an absolute no-brainer. I know the thing is on the road, so that's
sure.
That's what they're building in. But I don't care, home, away, whatever, better team in all aspects. And as you mentioned, Justin Herbert, this man, 23 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions this year.
Oof. Efficient.
Yeah, exactly. Like as you mentioned, like Harbaugh is a run-first guy, so they use him kind of like a game manager, like majority of the year. Like he was throwing for 100 yards, like
first 8 games.
Yeah, 200 yards every single game. Like this guy was never relied on. But if you're a team against a playoff team, but this Texans team did not finish strong. No. Like they just, as you mentioned, C.J. Stroud, second year sophomore slump. Obviously, a lot of people thought he's going to take another step. Now he regressed a lot, and I think a lot has to do with like his receiving core, like losing Tank Dell, one of his favorite weapons. I think he's one of his best friends in football.
It is his best friend, yeah.
His best friend in football, and then losing Stephon Diggs as like the slot receiver, like reliable slot guy, and obviously Nico Collins is still the dynamic receiver.
He missed 5 games.
Yeah, he missed a bunch of games, and before that, he was on an absolute tear with 100-yard games and looking like Julio Jones out there. And obviously, after post-injury, I don't think he's been putting up the same numbers before. That was pre-injury. So I don't think he's still 100% yet coming from an injury that knocked him out for a couple of weeks. So I feel like that receiving core is just not what you expected. Because, like, coming into the season, you're like, oh, my gosh, C.J. Stroud have all these guys to throw to all these options. Yep. But, like, who's the receiver, too? Like, who is it?
John Mechie, the third.
Yeah. No, I never heard of him. So, like, I ain't too worried about him.
He's a Bama guy.
Yeah, whatever. I ain't worried about it. I'm worried about Nico Collins. That's all I'm worried about. As you mentioned, Joe Mixon in December.
They need a huge game from Mixon. That's the only way they win.
Joe Mixon has been unbelievable all year. He had 1,000 yards, over 10-plus touchdowns. But in December, lost a lot of people fantasy championships because he was been a no-show for the last couple weeks. So, obviously, I don't know if that's fatigue or a game plan or whatever, but he's not producing as – like he was dropping 100-yard games every single game in the first couple of weeks of the season. So it has to be a passing attack to compensate the rushing attack not being as effective. And you're playing against the Chargers defense where they're legit on the defensive end, like absolutely legit on the defensive end. And they're coming off strong. The Chargers have been blowing out teams. And that's what I want to see. Even though if it's a bad team, you got to be able to blow these teams out. And pretty much like the Chargers right now, 11-6 this year. And their plus minus 101. 101 plus minus. Like to give you a reference as a benchmark, Kansas City Chiefs at plus 59. That's just to give you a benchmark.
Okay, well, the Chiefs have had kind of an anomaly year.
Yeah, they had a weird season, but if you're looking at plus minus, like I would say
Bills.
What's the Bills, for example? Bills are 157.
Okay.
So you got the Ravens, the Bills at plus 157s, and you got like all like the Chargers, even the Broncos and like the Vikings. So that second tier of teams around the plus 100 plus minus. So they're in that category right there. So you're playing against a Texans team Do you know what their plus minus is?
Minus 15.
A donut. 0.
Really?
They're a 500 ball club based on plus minus, and obviously they took advantage of a division with the Tennessee Titans, who they got the number 1 pick, right? Yep. The number 1 pick, and you got the Jaguars, who fired their head coach,
and are top 5, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. They're 4-13 this year. They started Mac Jones. That's all I have to know. So, they definitely took advantage of a garbage division and got in. So, as mentioned, right now I see 2.5. Try to get at 2.5, 3. It's probably, I think, he's definitely going to.
I got it at 2.5.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to push 3 because I think Vegas this year has been very underrating, the better team on the road and not giving that spread as much juice as it could be. So for me personally, this is an easy hit on the Chargers. Give me Harbaugh, give me Justin Herbert. Yeah, you got JK back. Ladd McConkey, we'll see what he could do. Quentin Johnson, I'm not the biggest fan of that guy, but I don't think they'll need the offensive aerial attack against this Texans team. So for me, Chargers is a lock of a pick.
Yes. I love this. I think it's one of the bigger locks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love this. I love this.
The only chance Houston has is if they make the Chargers a little bit more like a passing team. Like if they do shut down JK and they get, maybe bracket or do something with Ladd McConkey, that's kind of the only chance, because D'Amico Ryans is a defensive savant. So I think they might have a really good game plan, but it's just offensively is where everybody's kind of down
Herbert
on.
Doesn't make mistakes, man. That's the issue. He doesn't make mistakes.
Harbaugh too has been here before. D'Amico was here last year, but Harbaugh, he's kind of proven he's one of the better coaches of all time, especially at the college, and now proven at the pro level again. So you kind of trust that a little bit more than what D'Amico may have. And also, like I said, I don't know. It is hard to judge CJ because of the injuries to his 2 best receivers. Like I said, John Mechie did go to Alabama, but he's not an impact guy. I don't plan on him getting a bunch of catches and going down the field. And now you're telling me, like I just said, with Ladd McConkey with the Chargers, you can double team and do whatever to Stingley. So, it's going to be interesting to see which defense comes to play and controls it, because I do think Mixon has the capability to take over a game. It's just we hadn't seen it. Yeah. And like I said, with JK, him still coming off an injury, we'll see. So I do think the Chargers cover, and I do think it's more of a lock, but I don't think it's like a blowout because it's still a hardball team, and I don't think
I think it's relatively low scoring, grinded out type
defensive battle.
I think it's gonna be pretty ugly.
It's 23-14 kind of game.
It's gonna be ugly.
A late touchdown. They get JK may break off a run, or Ladd gets a screen and goes crazy. It's something like that. But the Texans this year has been the victim of injury, and it's not their fault. Like you said, if you had those 2 receivers healthy, then maybe we're talking about a different team, because it could definitely, it would open up Mixon more, and it would make CJ more explosive. But with the injuries, I would be utterly shocked if they won this game. So turn the page to Baltimore and Steelers. I was really shocked that it's plus 10, plus 9.5. I think that's I know it's the playoffs, but it's a division game. That's Mike Tomlin. One thing about him, he's a lot of things. He does well as a dog. So I think that's like baiting people to take that, because I think it's going to be closer than that. I think the Ravens win, but you don't do plus 10 on Mike Tomlin. I'm sorry. He just doesn't get blown out.
Disrespect.
Come on. You don't, that just doesn't happen. And it's a division game. What are we doing here?
And let's be honest,
I don't know if there's an injury or something going on. I know the Steelers looked awful against the Bengals, but I'm just saying, if anything, that defense is going to keep it respectable.
That's the thing. The defense.
I don't have any faith. George Pickens is a wild card. Najee's Najee. I don't have any faith in that offense. Russ is kind of regressing back to the name.
Fryermuth's actually been pretty good for them as of late.
He should have caught that pass. I tell you that, though. God Almighty.
He was that was his only mistake all night, and he wasn't doing anything. But I mean, I got Steelers covering, Ravens winning. I just don't think
that's me.
You can look at the 2 games they played this year. I mean, to be fair, up until Russell fumbled that ball.
On the scramble,
they were in control of that game, and that was without Pickens. And people forget Pickens. He didn't score in their first matchup. I know the second matchup was 34-17 in the end. It all went downhill after that fumble I just mentioned. Pickens didn't play that game. The Ravens are on average giving up the largest down the field throws on average by any team.
So those big Russell Wilson throws, huh? That's what's
going
to
take. Russell Wilson throws. They got
Mike
Williams. Mike Williams down the sideline. I know he's not what he used to be, but he is still a threat. Obviously, we know what George Pickens can do, but to Sean's point, he is an absolute wild card. I think he's one of the hardest wide receivers to predict, even more so than like a Jameson Williams type, where you don't really know. He's starting to get more involved. But Pickens did have 8 or 9 catches for 90 yards against the Ravens in their first matchup in which the Steelers won. So to Sean's point, I'm fine taking like plus 9.5, plus 10 for the Steelers. I think this could be a touchdown game for sure. But I just don't think Lamar is going to let that happen. He's had too good of a season. But then again, this would not be the first time that the Ravens would have blown a wild card matchup. Everyone remembers the Titans back in the day. So I honestly would say that this one's less of a lock than the Chargers and Texans one. I'll say that right now.
Who's going to win?
Like I'm more confident that the Chargers are going to win than picking either one of the.
This is a division game. Like what? I don't understand that. Vegas must know something because I don't understand that line.
I agree.
Yeah, because for me, I'm looking at this line 9.5, right? So a touchdown plus a field goal, and the over/unders at 43.5. So they're having a pounded out type game. So relatively low scoring and winning by 10. That's a blowout. Like that is really, really hard to do against a team where obviously Lamar in his past has struggled against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, the last game he absolutely annihilated them, and this is a situation we get that first peak of Lamar in the playoffs again. Like we've had this debate all year because regular season Lamar, he was unconscious this year. Even like some of his deep ball, like if you look at just raw numbers, 41-4 is just absurd with 800 plus rushing yards. Like that is just such an absurd stat line. So pretty much his first test right now against this team. What are you gonna say?
They're the D'Antoni Suns, man. That's what this Ravens team is all
about. That's a good callback.
One of the best offensive teams in the league, but can't get it done in the playoffs, man.
Yeah, because if you look at the number of Pro Bowlers that made from the Ravens, number one, they had 9 Pro Bowlers.
8 or 9, yeah.
So based on paper talent, where people believe like this team is absolutely loaded. So the difference this year obviously is King Henry, and he can control the clock a little more relative to last year. So he is the guy that I want to see if they feed King Henry the ball when they're up and they don't have to rely on Lamar chucking it down against the Steelers team that they could force some turnovers. Like you never know. Like this team, that's what it's gonna take. It's gonna hit the defense forcing turnovers and Russell Wilson not making turnovers, because I've seen too many Russell Wilson games where he does something great and then he turns it over in the red zone. Like especially interception in the red zone, fumble in the red zone. I've seen that way too much in the regular season. Like the defense been absolutely
too excited.
Yeah, Russell is like, he turns it over. I'm just like, Jesus Christ. He needs to play a perfect game. I don't want 300 yards. Like I'd want 0 turnovers.
Herbert
fumbles. Yeah, exactly. I want 0 turnovers from my quarterback position, because you cannot be given that offense the ball.
No,
multiple attempts. So for me, I see 9.5. Like I definitely see them winning by 7, like a touchdown. That's where I got this game at right now. It's gonna be interesting because this is a great first test for Lamar Jackson's postseason game. It's not a give me, but they should be able to get it done in my books. But kids, if they don't against the Steelers team, that's not they don't look like no juggernaut the last couple of weeks.
No,
like they don't look right.
We're like 11-2, or what were they 10 and they lost like 4 straight, hadn't they?
Yeah. They're on a 4-game losing streak.
Yep.
Coming.
Yeah, they're all
So that's not good vibes, man. They got no chemistry.
And Pickens is getting a head case. So
he's always been a head case. So I'm like
you got
obviously they played against 4 playoff caliber teams in the Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, and Bengals.
Tough schedule, man.
Jesus. Well, that you put it that way, that is brutal.
Yeah, that is a tough schedule, but losing all 4, I'm like,
you got to get one.
The game before that, you beat the Browns. They beat the Browns. Like, okay, whatever. So, they played some real playoff level competition and couldn't get it done. So, for me, this is a Ravens dub by a tutty.
Yeah,
by a tutty. That's what I see it.
The one thing I do want to kind of point out with the Steelers is I'm just interested, what they're going to do with Russell. I don't want to get on the sidetrack, but it's just like you said, those last 4 games have been brutal. But it's they got
100 mil, man. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if we're doing that, then
We'll give him the Baker.
I love Mike Tomlin, but Mike Tomlin needs to go if he signs off on that. Like we gotta. I know his thinking. He loves those type of quarterbacks, but like they need a game breaker. Like you just gotta have one. And Russell was nice. He was what you guys always say, a cute story at the beginning of the season because he was just steady he was steady in the pocket and was a steady force. But it's like no, he's fading. It's just because he's getting older.
Justin Fields had a better winning percentage than Russell Wilson did.
He did, and he maybe they should just trust him, but. Moving it forward, Bills, Broncos, the only chance the Broncos have is if Bo Nix and Sean Payton devise a plan where he's running all over the field, not really throwing. That's it. Because I don't see Bo Nix going into Buffalo darting. The Bills defense is not all world, but I just don't see Bo Nix going in there because really his options are Courtland Sutton as receiver 1 and Courtland Sutton as receiver 2. Like Marvin Mims may come up with a catch or two, but his receivers are lacking. And then the run game is just, I feel like, by committee. So I don't see it. Now, the defense, PS2 is going to lock up some dudes, which this game, actually, if you think about it, feels similar to Chargers and Texans. And, I think both defenses are going to kind of, just battle out. And then, it's going to come down to the offenses. And, Josh Allen, I just trust more. Because if anything, even if it gets weird, Josh Allen's just going to be able to run and get first downs and make it difficult. So I don't see it. They're young. They're kind of like how Washington is. They're just young, happy to be there. Sean Payton is a veteran coach, but Bo Nix would have to be just running all over the field going crazy. I don't see him making passes and winning the game. So that's how I think the Bills win that.
I will say I would bet the Bills. I actually wouldn't mind betting. I don't know what the over-under is at, but betting the under
46.5.
The under in this game could be very interesting. I usually don't like betting unders. I stay away from it. But if you were an under better, this could be one to target because, to be honest, I know Bo Nix is a rookie. Marvin Mims has had monster weeks these past 2 weeks in huge games. We're talking about I know that it was the Chiefs and they were not trying at all. that game before when he made that game tying catch, that was
that game winning catch, yeah.
And I think that you have to respect it as a defense, and I think that does help Courtland Sutton for sure. I think for me, the reason they're going to lose this game is that they won't be able to get any ground attack going against the third worst rush defense in the league. If you can run the ball against the Bills, you have a chance. But if you can't, no. But here's the thing. All three of the running backs that they have, Estime, McLaughlin, and Javonte Williams, they can all run the ball. It is possible for them to do it. They just don't have one guy that you want to focus on for your fantasy purposes. But they could committee this into keeping the ball moving down the field. I don't think this is as big of a disparity as we give it. The only reason that I'm 100% siding with the Bills is because they're at home, and I think it's one of the toughest places to play in the entire league. And I don't know.
And it's cold up here, man.
Ooh. It's cold. Oh, it's cold in Denver too. It's not like they're coming from it indoors at least. But at the same time, I would not be shocked if the Broncos won this game. I would.
I would be shocked.
You won't be shocked? I'll be shocked. I'll be flabbergasted.
I would not be shocked.
For the MVP to lose in the first round?
Here's the thing. James Cook is not a bruising running back. Yeah, even you bring Ray Davis in there, that Denver defense is very tough to run against.
Now, I'm with you on the defense.
What wide receiver is Josh Allen going to throw the ball to? And they got Pat Surtain, the defensive player of the year, going against Keon Coleman or Shakir or whoever they got to put up against him. Is Josh Allen running for 150 yards and 3 runs?
That's what he's going to probably do.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you're saying Josh Allen's going to have to run the ball the whole game. Mm-hmm. I trust.
Not the whole game, but yeah.
Sure, but I just don't believe in James Cook. I think my point is this is a bit more even than I think the seeding.
No, James Cook has that. I do agree with that. James Cook better show up because if he don't, then they could be in trouble because they don't have anybody else besides James. Yeah, if they bottle up James, and it could get weird. It could get weird.
Very interesting because you got to remember these Broncos have beaten and almost beaten some very good teams.
It's kind of very similar. You know what it's similar to? When CJ came and played Lamar last year. He had nothing to lose. Lamar had all the pressure, and CJ just went in there and played a pretty decent game. And they ended up winning, but it was weird for a little bit in that game against Lamar because CJ had nothing to lose. It's like Bo's just – that's why I said if Bo is running around crazy and doing Bo stuff, that's why I could see a Broncos having a chance. But I don't – that's it. That's the only chance I see the Broncos scoring is Bo going. Because
they need big plays from Bo Nix, and it's gonna be either Courtland Sutton or Marvin Mims. They need to have big games. If you're doing a correlation of underdog winning, those guys better be getting 100-yard and tutty games.
And I have more confidence in them than I do against the Bills secondary than I do any Bills receiver going against.
Yeah, Bills receivers,
Broncos,
I give you
because
that.
Because I think the running attacks are going to offset. I honestly don't think James.
I don't know about. Yeah, because both
not including Josh Allen and Bo.
No, you're not including Josh Allen.
But running back,
I expect a masterpiece from Josh Allen because this guy
needs to.
You can't be losing to the Denver Broncos and a rookie quarterback at home in an MVP season. Like, that just cannot happen.
He's only averaged 200. He's only averaged 219 passing yards a game this year.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. I expect him, especially in the playoffs, to use his legs more than his arms, especially in this first game.
It's possible. And the rest definitely helps with that. But the other thing I want to the Bills need to turn the ball over because they need field position. I think that's going to be the biggest thing is, one, can you keep Josh on short field so that he can maintain his stamina? But at the same time, if you can just turn over Bo Nix and crush his confidence, then you're going to wipe the floor with them. So, I mean, if they can force turnovers, but if Bo plays a good game, to Sean's point, I think this could get very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. This offense right now has been putting up 30 points a game all season in the Buffalo Bills. I still don't know how they're doing it without elite running back or elite receiver from those positions. So for me, to slow that team down, who's scoring point and a half, this team just gets it done on offense all season. This is a historically great offense.
3 points per drive.
Without historically great skill position players.
And part of it is their defense has been way better than expected, and they get great field position. That's partially it.
Yeah, that's partially
defense
it.
was surprising this year.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially I think you mentioned the offseason, they lost a lot of players on defense.
They did.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it don't matter when you have the MVP. That's what they say, man.
Yeah, everyone wants him out of there, man. Got to give a little credit to Sean.
He is a defensive guy, so maybe you just figured out with the guys that he had. But for me, this is Josh. This is his season. If he wins MVP and advances and makes a Super Bowl appearance, this is his time to make his Hall of Fame case right now.
What's the spread? Is it
8.5?
It's like 9 or 8.
8.5.
I saw.
I got it at plus 9.5 for the Broncos.
Oh, interesting.
That bet.
Yeah, there's a plus 9 on. Yeah, I got plus 9. Most of it's plus 8.5. I'm seeing it now.
I think
it
moved. I got it at plus 9.5 this morning.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's basically the same thing. What you're looking at with the Ravens, I just think maybe you would argue the Broncos probably have more of a dynamic playmaker at quarterback with Bo. Because, like I said, I've been wrong about Bo. I thought Bo was just going to be an average dude, and it looks like with Peyton, he's going to be. If Peyton stays,
I still think he's an average dude. I think that coach just maximized his skills.
Yeah, his talent.
I don't know, man. Some of those throws he's making are pretty damn good. You're still taking it.
I'll see him when I believe in the playoffs, man. I don't know. I saw a lot of missed throws in the regular season, especially at the beginning of the year.
No, he needs if he gets a second receiver, he'll be more maximized. I think.
I don't know, man.
But he's not talent Jaden. He's not Jaden or Caleb. No, nobody's saying that. But I think he's good. No. I don't even think he's Drake May talent wise. But that's another question for another.
You gotta remember, I was the only one that took Bo Nix over AR when we had that debate. And you guys laughed at me
fantasy wise, Bo's going to be a monster next year. But going to the Packers, Eagles. Going with the Eagles. Saquon sat for a reason. He's going to be fresh. They got the receivers. They got their defenses playing at a high level. I love Jordan Love. I wish they did match it with the Eagles because I think Jordan Love and that team could have made a run. But now you're going against the Eagles. Eagles at home. Go ahead and take the Eagles. I think that's the easy one. Like I said, the spread on that one is
4.5.
4.5. So I'm guessing they're factoring in. I think they're factoring in I don't know, maybe rest for the Eagles or something. Who knows? But
and Hurts is concussion.
Packers are good. Hurts concussion too. That's another
LaFleur has been making some bonehead decision making as a head coach as of late, man. LaFleur.
Who? LaFleur,
yeah. He did not coach that Bears game well at all.
Yeah.
Probably
I just think the Eagles' offensive power with AJ, Devontae, maybe they're rusty the first quarter. It's closer than expected because, like I said, Hurts has been out. But I think by halftime and third, fourth quarter, they'll be able to lean on Saquon, get enough of a lead.
Game.
But what I don't think would happen is I think maybe last year was the Packers going into Dallas and just bum rushing them. I don't see that happening, but it could be closer because 4.5 is not a lot. So it speaks to the Packers is an overall talented team. So they're not going to get bullied, but I think Give me the Eagles.
Their wide receiver room has fallen apart. And I'll just say, I mean, I'm taking the Eagles as well. I mean, you got Christian Watson, torn ACL. Jaden Reed has been a absolute bust this year.
He started really strong and then just kind of.
And, their first game was against the Eagles, and he had a monster game in that. I just don't see it. Saquon had 3 touchdowns in their first meeting. I see this being, I know it was a 5-point game. That could also be another reason why it's only 4.5. They have some historical data from this season. But I don't know. The other difference between that game and this one, their first matchup and this playoff matchup, is the Eagles' defense has gotten significantly better, especially in the secondary. Just getting the chemistry down, communication, whatever it might be, whatever they did in that locker room with Vic Fangio. He's really turned that defense around. And Jordan Love, for as much as he loves to sling it, man, he is going to – the Eagles secondary could have a hit rate if they don't stick with – if they can't be on the Josh Jacobs, if that's not like the script. If they have to get away from running the ball, they're kind of screwed. I think.
Yeah, for me personally, hate to do this, but I'm going against my Packers, man. Like you're going to have to put up some points. And I'm sorry, like Jordan Love in the regular season this year, I wasn't that impressed this year. Like, he's still a solid quarterback, but last year I was at Dallas. I was like, oh, wow, okay, maybe something special. Man, he ain't special. He's just a nice quarterback right now. He's got a lot to prove. Because he had one game in the regular season throwing over 300 yards.
Yep.
One
They've
game.
been a run-heavy team, to be fair.
They definitely pivoted because Jordan Love is definitely turnover prone because he's a gunslinger. But for a gunslinger, only have one game over 300 yards, you're going to need that to beat this Eagles team who could really light it up. The only thing I'm just keeping my eye on is that Jalen Hurts concussion.
True.
Yeah. Because I was like, oh, this guy's actually ruled out multiple. I was like, oh, because Jalen Hurts, this guy's a physical freak. He never gets injured. I think in the first couple seasons, I don't believe he've ever left a game with an injury. So right now it's been multiple games being out. I'm just like,
could be rest.
Yeah, that could be rest too. But he was officially ruled out that first concussion a couple weeks ago. So that definitely caught me off guard because I thought he was going to come back here in the game. But I guess that concussion really hit him really, really bad. So I'm looking at this Eagles team right now. Obviously, they went all in. So that's why they were my preseason Super Bowl team, NFC team to make it because they went all in with Saquon and pretty much brought this offense. We got to get it done with this team right now in its prime and paying all our players right now. So for me personally, man, you rested Saquon for a reason. Because if you flame out after resting Saquon in the first round and he had a chance to beat a record that's been withstanding time for many years, that would be such a bad look for it. So for me, this is absolutely a Saquon Barkley game. He's going to be probably, oh my God, anytime Tutty, Saquon Barkley, man, that's going to be my favorite pick in this game because Jalen Hurts, I don't think they're going to be doing the tush push post the concussion, especially aggressive, especially I would say in the first 2 quarters, they're going to be pretty passive with Hurts as a running game because you don't want to hit him get another hit. And I see Kenny Pickett in there.
No,
so that. That would change the story.
Tanner McKee
Pickett got to have some reps. Oh, now I'm worried. Now I'm worried. So I think they're going to be a little more conservative. Rely on Saquon Barkley, hopefully to carry him. Hopefully some big plays because Barkley could get those plays where he just rips a 60-yard touchdown. So I feel like that's what they're going to rely on.
And he went crazy in the first game with them. I think
he did. That was a coming out party for Saquon. Yeah. It was like, wow, they got a real superstar running back against, I think, a superstar offensive line. So this is a rushing attack. Hurts just be more of a game manager, man. Manage the game. I don't need a big game from A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith against this Packers team where, as you mentioned, it's more of a rushing attack with Josh Jacobs, who's having a phenomenal season. So I think Packers are going to rely on their rush game, and then I think the Eagles are just the better version of the Packers on offense. So for me, I'm taking the Eagles. Hurts me to say this, even though, Jordan Love, man, he needs to be special. And as you mentioned, no Christian Watson. Jaden Reed he's just not a number one
Romeo
receiver.
Dobbs.
Just no superstar receivers that I could be this guy is special.
That's the Packers formula, though. They just second round guys.
Yeah, but the thing is, they develop into that super, Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb. Those couple of years, they were 13,400.
Donald Driver had moments with his hoodie.
Donald Driver was great. Greg
Jennings.
Yeah, so they
was
guys
another
develop into these multi-1,000-yard receivers. But
James Jones, man, he had 20 touchdowns.
Yeah. Well, no, it was James Jones who wore the hoodie, right? It was James Jones, wasn't it?
James Jones.
That was the guy that he wore like a puffy hoodie under his, which made it even more impressive because he had a heavy
gloves and short sleeves. Donald Driver.
Yeah.
Green Bay.
Jeez, I don't know, but going to the next game, give me the Commanders. I got Jaden. I'm not high on Tampa Bay at all. I think Tampa Bay was, especially watching the Saints game, because it was on locally, and I was just because it was interesting because they were battling for that last playoff spot, and just watching it, it's like they're very Mike Evans dependent, which I understand. I think it's still weird the backfield because it's Bucky Irving's backfield, but it feels like they still force Rashad White to get in there and do stuff. So I don't know if it's just Bucky Irving because he's a little bit smaller and slight. And then I saw Sean Tucker back there, so I was like, what the heck's going on? But because he's the third back. But I think they're Mike Evans dependent. I think in that first game they got Jaden because it's the first game of the season. All he was doing was running the ball, and it's like, I mean, he was green. He was kind of green, didn't really know what was going on, trying to figure it out. But now he's established a situation with Terry. And if you've watched Washington closely this year, they have come through in a lot of close games. So if the game is close, I'm going with Jaden because he just feels like he, at least this year, has proven he can come back and just make spectacular plays. Now, Baker is playing at a high level, but he's been playing at a high level for the last year or two. So I'm not surprised by that. Washington's defense is, to me, I think they're just a product of their Washington's offense being good. I don't think anybody on that defense is special. So the only thing that would concern me about the Marshawn, dude, who was he playing? The last game I watched him in,
I know. I think he's got his boy up against him. He's got Mike Evans across from him this week, man.
Like, now that worries me. I forgot about that, and that worries me because now he might take himself out of the game and do something stupid, and that might affect Washington. So I don't know. I'm still picking Washington because of Jaden, and I do think this matchup is great. It's going to be probably pretty good weather in Tampa, so it's like you ain't got to worry about snow or rain or whatever. I just think Jaden in this moment with less pressure, I think there's. And it says something about Tampa Bay that, man, you was in a dogfight with freaking the Saints on that. Like the Saints and I love Spencer Rattler. I hope they give him a chance to compete. But like, dude, what are we doing? Yeah, he made an appearance. It's like, dude, he stop playing around. Stop playing around and win this game. Really it's like, what are we doing? You guys should have put them away. And then it took them to the last second to get Mike Evans his 1,000 yards. So it was like, okay, they've been playing around the entire game.
I was so hyped. I was like, yeah, I was
hyped too.
Continue.
I was like, dude, they better run a play. I'm like, they could run the play. And then they ran it. I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
The only thing is, the sports books just screwed it, but whatever. Besides
we saw the over-unders.
90. Yeah. They didn't have anything lower than 90 as an alternate.
No, I saw it at 94.5.
No. But you could take alternate, but they didn't have anything.
Oh, they don't have the alt
90 plus.
Yeah, they smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They knew
I'm going with Washington.
Yeah. So you got Washington. Oh, man. Okay, I know I was just hyping up Bo Nix and all that. That's my upset that I wouldn't be shocked by. I also wouldn't be shocked if Jaden Daniels wins, but he's on the road as well. He's also a rookie. You want to talk about? I mean, I know he got hurt or they rested him or whatever. They did not look good against the Cowboys either, right? Even when Jaden was in there, they did not look good, and that's against the Cowboys. So I think pointing to the Bucs struggling against the Saints. I think we can just point both of those games how ugly they were, even though both respective teams won the game. It's just a divisional matchup, and both of those teams had nothing to lose except just kind of ruin your momentum going to the playoffs. It's whatever. I do think Jalen McMillan could be a huge benefit.
That's an X factor for sure.
X factor, absolutely,
like a lot.
And you're talking about if Mike Evans is matched up with Lattimore, and let's just say there's no massive fighting involved, but just a great matchup that is kind of shutting everyone down, McMillan is going to need to have a big game. The thing that I have a problem with about the Commanders in this game is the fact that they will be so pass dependent. It's not even funny. Brian Robinson is not an explosive back. Austin Eckler is still fresh off of an injury. I know he played last week and actually had a couple big plays, but you're not running against Vita Vea with anyone other than Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry. I'm sorry. Like, those are the only two guys, maybe Jahmyr Gibbs, that I would be comfortable saying these guys will have great games against the Bucs on the rushing attack side. So you're asking to pretty much put the ball in Jaden Daniels' hands, and I guess Terry McLaurin's going to have to go virtuoso, Zoo, or Olamide Zaccheaus is going to have another big game. So I just think I trust Baker a little bit more than Jaden, and that's just because of experience. I know Baker's not the most playoff experienced quarterback, but he's at least been in the NFL longer. He gets to play at home. Weather won't be a factor, which helps both. So I think betting the over this game, I know it's pretty high, probably around 50 and a half maybe.
Yep.
This could be a 27-24 type game. If you put it that way, that's 51 points, right? But the other thing, it's kind of random to say, but Chase McLaughlin has been one of the best kickers this year. And if it comes down to Chase McLaughlin, I trust him to make a kick to win the game. Would not be surprised if this game goes to overtime. I just think that I trust Baker to make a game-winning drive, even though we've seen Jaden do it a couple times this year. Some luckier than others. But, I'm going to go with the Bucs here.
Yeah, for me, this one hurts me because this is probably the one game I'm going to stay away from betting, actually. Because my feelings about the Commanders, all they've been doing this year is proving me wrong and taking my money away. So betting against the Commanders has not been a very profitable decision this year, and definitely in this type of game where both offenses, I think they're going to be lighting it up. Absolutely, especially like this. First of all, this Tampa Bay offense, it is so productive. Like they were 250 yards a game on offense. That's number 3, only behind the Detroit Lions and the Cincinnati Bengals. For this offense, which is insane. So even every time they even lose the game, you're scoring 20+ points every single game. So Baker Mayfield is just leading a really dynamic offense against a team in the Commanders right now where, this is just, it's all on that rookie. Like, just by watching the rookie this year, Sean, you're right. This guy got that clutch gene. Like, I don't know, like every time he doesn't really feel rattled. Like sometimes you can feel a quarterback like, and when the clock is going down, he like makes poor decisions. He just seems kind of calm every time I watch him. Settle down, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, man, this guy is really calm in like big moments. But this could be a big moment right now. His first playoff game, but this is a great showcase against a team that I feel like he's gonna get the opportunity to throw the ball a lot. So for me, minus 350.5. Like, ooh. It's tough betting against the Commanders, but I'm just going to take the home team in experience, but I don't feel good about this game. This game, I really don't feel good about it because maybe Jaden Daniels is that special rookie and wins a playoff series in his first year, which is very, very possible. But I think the Buccaneers, even though their record is slightly worse, I feel like analytically, the analytics like the Buccaneers a little more than the Commanders, especially offensively. I think the Buccaneers are one of the better offenses in the NFL. So I'm going to take the better offense at home in this game, but I do not feel great about this because
pick them.
The Commanders this year really surprised me. Like, God damn, they surprised
everybody.
They surprised the heck out of me. So I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Like, man, like.
You know what, too? Like,
jeez.
Yeah, Jaden.
Like, Terry McLaurin, I think, at least a little bit more respect. I think he's super underrated. I'm not talking from a fantasy, just as a ball player, man. Like at the beginning of the season, the growth that Jaden showed in him trusting Terry and Terry trusting him as a quarterback. He's not, the thing about him is Terry just feels like he's just I think if Terry was like 6'3" and did what he did and was still the same athleticism, he'd get a little bit more respect. But I think it's because he's short and he's like not like a DJ Moore explosive or like a jump over top of you like a DeAndre Hopkins or something like that. Like he's just kind of a receiver, just a steady, like he's a good athlete. He's just normal. Because, he's another Ohio State receiver. Like he was, and when he was at Ohio State, he was a baller. So like he, I think he's not Mike Evans, of course, but he's really good. And I think him and Terry or him and Jaden have a really good chemistry. So that's going to be something I'm going to be looking at. And plus, too, the thing about Jaden with him being clutch is he's outside of Terry, he's just throwing the freaking dudes. And he's just like, what's the guy? Whatever the dude.
Dude.
Yeah, he's just like, who is that? He's just throwing it to him and he's catching touchdowns and getting first downs. It's just like, all right, cool. We're riding with him. It's just, that tells you, too, you got to shout out Cliff because I think Cliff has just made him comfortable. I think Cliff is a OC. He's, he struggled as a coach, but he's an OC. So he's, that marriage with him and Jaden is, that might end up getting Cliff a second chance in the NFL as a head coach. So I don't know. We'll see. And with this last game, man, the Rams and the Vikings, against my better judgment, like I'm here with Zhu. It's a pick 'em for me, but I'm just going to go with the Rams because they're at home. The Rams defense is super underrated. Jared Verse, Brandon Fitz, that whole defense is pretty nasty, even though they're young. And I just trust Matt Stafford being here. Puka Nacua stepping up, being basically the number one receiver. Sean McVay. I kind of just trust that because, again, and I'm just until it's going to keep burning me probably, but Sam Darnold, nothing. Last week I don't even care about the last game. I don't even care. It's just, do I really want to trust Sam Darnold going in there beating and him and O'Connell just beating? Because I know, didn't they play this year and they beat him pretty soundly? I'm not sure if they did or not.
30-10. That's the only other team they lost to outside of the Lions.
Yeah. So
2 Lions losses and 1 to the Rams.
So I'm going with the experience. I like Matt Stafford. He's still got a little bit in the tank. Running game with Kyron Williams. I prefer him over Aaron Jones. I'm going with McVay and them. I think they're going to be. And really, it's not about the offense. I think the Rams defense is pretty salty.
That's right. That's what I was going to say. Because I know you said disregard last week. For Sam Darnold, yes, he had a tough game. But the reason he had a tough game is the Lions pressured the hell out of him.
Yeah,
they pretty much said, look, and they even said this a couple times during the game. They were like, you just look at the stats. Sam Darnold is clearly successful when he has longer than X amount of seconds in the pocket to make a decision. They said, no, we're just going to blitz him, throw 1-2 guys extra every time. Well, the Rams are younger and faster than shouldn't say that, than the Lions defense, but definitely they're healthier than the Lions defense.
For sure.
And if you rush Darnold, to be fair, he barely missed a couple touchdown throws to Justin Jefferson. I'm not saying that flips the entire game, but they could shore that up. And this could be similar to the Commanders and Bucs game. It could be very high scoring. It could be a close game in the end. But I agree with you. I got to go with Stafford, man. The only thing is they need Cooper Kupp to do something.
He has done nothing in this
at least respectable so that you can actually get Puka down the field to throw the ball instead of just throwing him screens every time.
Screens and give him that yak.
You got to get, not saying deep balls, down the sideline, but you got to get him on a couple, down the middle or crossing routes. So I don't know. But Kyron, he's the X factor because if they can't get Kyron going, oof. And this Vikings defense is tough to run against. They are very difficult to run against. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's going to be a win. But give me the Rams.
So you're picking the Rams. I was making a clean sweep, man. For me, this is just looking at the preparation coming in from previous week to this week. Last week, the Rams took the week off. They're like, we don't really care who we're playing. We're going to rest our guys, and we're going to get ready up and play whoever the team that falls to us. The Vikings played a de facto playoff game against the Detroit Lions because they wanted to get the number 1 seed in the bye. So they went all out, and they dropped 9 points in a must-win type of game. And I'm just like, okay, that is not a good vibe, especially the way the game went, 31-9, not really competitive. Like Jahmyr Gibbs absolutely
went crazy.
Like, this guy's special. There's a reason why
RB1 next year.
Yeah, when running backs get picked in the first round.
Give me him over Bijan.
An auto.
Yeah, me too.
139 yards and 3 touchdowns. This guy's showing that if he's the 3-down back, he could do it. He could do it. He could do it. Oh yeah, 4 tutties. Oh yeah, I forgot about
the receiving.
Yeah, I forgot about the receiving one, man. Jesus Christ,
he's a monster.
You didn't have him 4+ touchdowns on FanDuel, dude. It was only plus 5,500. Come on, man.
Yeah, Gibbs is one of those special players. He got a little. I make this comp. He got a little Jamal Charles speed. Like sometimes the speed, he just looks. Yeah, like
he's a
LT vision.
Yeah, he is very, very fast. So like that Detroit Lions team absolutely smashed them. So I feel like Sam Darnold. I'm telling you, man, this is probably the biggest game of his career.
Yes.
This game might make him $100 million or cost him $100 million. Because if you go in the Rams and you're a pumpkin and you're the reason your team loses, they're going to have some questions again. Man, we got this guy McCarthy. Maybe he's the guy.
Exactly.
Because, like, depending on how if he balls out and they lose, okay, I'm not going to blame him. But if he pulls an 18 for 41 with a QBR of 17 against this Rams team, they're going to have question marks about extending him and paying him big money right now.
Or even franchise tagging him.
Yeah, they can franchise tag him too, but I think
that's a high franchise tag, though.
It is a high franchise tag, but
yes,
he's playing for that next NFL contract right now. So I feel like all the pressure is on Darnold and Matthew Stafford. He's sitting back there a week off. He already got his ring. He already proved himself as he's not going to be that high tier 1 quarterback. He's that tier 2, like really, really solid quarterback. And Sean McVay and McConnell, I think they're the similar caliber of coaches. Stafford, Darnold. I'm taking Stafford over Darnold. Even at the running back position, Aaron Jones, I don't think he's that guy anymore. He's getting up there in age. Kyron Williams is still the young buck. So I feel like at the rushing attack, the Rams got the better rushing game. Like, obviously, they got Jay Jeff, who that's what's going to take. They need some big plays, which can happen because Jordan Addison, he just has a knack for getting those deep touchdowns. Like, I see it every single season. Like, Jordan Addison and obviously Justin Jefferson is probably the best receiver in the game right now. So those guys are game changers that will need to happen because the rushing game. I'm sorry, Aaron Jones and Cam Akers, like, ain't gonna does not frighten me.
Cam Akers revenge game.
True.
Cam Akers revenge game. Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
Oh,
So for me, let's make it a sweep. I'm picking the Rams. Money line or spread. I think it's only -1, so I might as well just go with the -1 to get it done. So, yeah, that's my pick for this game.
I'm like, for my pick, like, I guess the betting portion of this. Like,
there is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time.
Like, for me, it's like the easy one is just to do Chargers money line, which there ain't no money
Sean,
there.
give me a little double. Give me a little parlay. Give me like 2. Like, that you'd be confident parlaying.
So, honestly, I know we were just literally talking about this game, but I would be like, I like the Rams plus 1.5. Give me the Commanders plus 3, but honestly, if you did money line on both of those, I wouldn't be mad at that.
That's
so
fair.
If you did money line Rams and money line Commanders, you probably get a decent little payout with that.
I'd probably push it into maybe like plus 250 territory, 220, maybe something like that. That's not bad.
Because I don't want to play with the bigger point, like the Steelers and the Ravens and the Broncos Bills. I kind of want to stay away from those because their spreads are just too big. But like,
I would just take covers on those, if anything.
Yeah. But with money line, if you want to, like I said, just juice it up, because I'm looking right now, the matchup for that one, money line for at least the Commanders and Bucs is I think the highest is plus 145 DraftKings for Commanders, and then for the Rams, I want to say it's plus was even. Well,
oh wow, that's an even game.
Well, it's even minus 105, minus 105, minus 110.
Yeah, that's even. Yeah,
that's that even.
So, so I mean, wow. And that's ESPN Bet has it even on this site, and I'm looking at Vegas Insider. So, yeah, I don't know. I would like both of those teams money line, and if you want to get, I guess, risky, cheeky, maybe take like Packers plus 4.5. But I don't love that because I think the Eagles are going to control that. So yeah, that's how I'm looking at it.
I would say for sure Packers plus 4.5 if Hurts doesn't play.
Yeah,
I'd take that bet.
He is. Yeah.
Hurts
doesn't play though.
Stop.
If Hurts doesn't play, I think that line goes to what, maybe like -1 or like plus
Probably.
1 or whoever each way. Yeah, I don't think it stays at 4.5.
No, it's gonna move.
Vegas is gonna know that beforehand. They're gonna. That's why I think those. I think that's why.
In the locker room, man. Come on.
That's why I think those lines, like, it's just, I think it's a sucker bet with like both the Ravens and Bills game. I think those are sucker bets. Like, it's just do playoff games, I guess have playoff games have there ever been a spread that high? Like, those are to me massive spreads, I feel like, in the playoffs. I don't think I've seen one
probably
like that.
The Tom Brady Bucs versus the Taylor Heineke Commanders bet.
The throwback. Heineke is they had to back up. Yeah.
They covered that game.
See, that's the thing. In the playoffs is like, dude,
that's what I'm saying.
It's different.
Broncos to cover could be interesting.
Yeah, Broncos to cover. I like that better than the Steelers, actually.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm a little bit more confident betting on the Broncos.
I think Sean Payton as a coach could pretty much game plan a strategy to counteract the Buffalo Bills. So, I feel like he could close.
I mean, yeah, he is the coaching, out of respect to McDermott, but come on, it's paid.
Better coach. Yeah, he's a better coach.
So it does, he could. If, like I said, it all comes down to, I don't know which game we were talking about, but like the turnovers. If Bo doesn't turn the ball over, maybe it does make it interesting. And that's with all the quarterbacks. Like I said, Jaden, that could be, like I said, I know he's been clutch, but this is the playoffs and stuff's on the line. So, if you turn the ball over, you're not going to have a chance in these games. So we're going to see. I love Wild Card Weekend. It's one of my favorite weekends. I forgot. Yeah, my bad. I thought you guys gave your stuff. My bad.
No, you're good. I'm gonna do. I'm not doing the DraftKings. Well, I do play DraftKings this week, but it's a little difficult to like make a lineup at this point because one, I would love to play Hurts, and I just don't know where he's at yet. So that's kind of where I'm holding off. I will be absolutely making Stafford and Darnold lineups. I think that one, Jaden Daniels, could be a good one too. But I'm actually going to focus on player props this week. I've been doing 5-leg parlays to put me around like plus 250, plus 300. That's usually what I kind of shoot for. This one's a little bit riskier, but
you say 5 legs?
5 legs, yeah.
Oof, that's a lot of legs.
So I got McConkey at 5+ receptions. I like that. Pretty safe. McConkey. I don't think QJ is going to get as many targets, and even though he did, McConkey still got his last.
Way more reliable.
Way more
reliable.
Exactly. I got Saquon 100+ rushing and receiving yards. So the total between
total scrimmage yards. Okay.
Total scrimmage yards 100+, as well as an anytime touchdown for Saquon. Zoo. I had that locked in.
Yep.
Puka 70+ receiving yards. That yak man, he's going to need to get some work, and you better believe this Vikings pass defense is not the best. And then to bring it finally around, I got JJ at 5+ receptions. I know he got absolutely shut down by Amik Robertson, a guy who comes from dirt. They can't bury someone who came from dirt, man. But Justin Jefferson is going to have a rebound game. He has to. You put all 5 of those together, you got plus 417. I like that pretty good, man. It's because the Saquon anytime touchdown, man. That really bumps up the odds. I usually don't add anytime touchdowns, but if there's a lock and a half, I usually do only yards, receptions, or rushing plus receiving.
Interesting, because I think like if you get plus money for Saquon, I don't know if they're giving
minus 145.
Yeah,
that's score.
That's about.
But still, that's better than all the other ones. Like JJ 5 receptions is like minus 300.
Minus 300.
Those are all minus. The Saquon one is the best odds.
Best odds. Interesting. Yeah. That's interesting.
Which is fun
because for me that is one of my favorite plays of the week is just Saquon anytime tutty. But for me personally, like the only games I'm definitely focusing on, Chargers covering and Rams covering for me. Those are my 2 lock picks of the week. The other ones, like you say, they get a little big. I don't really know what happens at the end of the game. Some garbage time, weird stuff happening. Commanders, Buccaneers, stay away game for me. And for an easy one, Bills money line, man, get it done, Josh. Yeah, just get it done, man. Get it done. Like I think it could get ugly. That's the thing. I think it could get ugly. I get a little nervous in this game, but the Broncos knock off the Bills and make the path for the Chiefs a little easier. So.
I don't know, man. They almost lost to him.
Okay, Patrick Mahomes.
Wasn't that the game that
Mahomes ain't losing the Bo Nix in the playoffs? Let's take it easy.
No, I would love to see that. Now, that is if the Broncos did get that, I would love to see that spread because they should have beat the Chiefs at the Chiefs. They should have won that game. That was the block field goal game.
If that spread is anything beyond 7.5, I'm
hammering
the Broncos.
Hammer it.
Cover.
Hammer it. Wow. Listen, imagine a cold start. Listen, it's like the second quarter. Broncos are up like 11 to 3, and it's like Patrick's like doing this. Like they're gonna win the game, but it's like, oh yeah, they're gonna cover that because it's like it's gonna take a miraculous, a weird type of game. Like because like I've always said, if the games are close, Patrick's gonna figure it out. So like the Broncos would just have to get ahead. Yeah, they got to blow them out. If anybody. Advice to any other playoff teams going against the Chiefs: you have to put your foot on the Chiefs' neck and then break it, and then like double back and make sure they're dead because you can't. If they have a chance to get up, they're going to get up and beat you. So yeah,
the thing is, 10 points ain't enough. I need to be up.
It's got to be double scored, like not double scores, but like 2 touchdowns. Yeah,
for the Chiefs,
there's nothing.
Especially with Harrison Butker back there. Like,
Yeah.
But we'll see them in the divisional round with the Lions too. So we're going to be seeing who they'll be matched up with next week. Like I said, Wild Card Weekend is a great weekend in the NFL. It's the start of the playoffs, and we're going to see the storylines that come out of that. Man, I can't wait to watch it. So make sure you guys are tuning into our channel at Tyson Talks, which is the Instagram page, and then for our YouTube, Quantro Knows, Spotify, Apple. We are definitely on there. Make sure you give us a 5-star review. On YouTube, make sure you give us a thumbs up so you can get us in algorithms and everybody can listen to us. And for me, Zoo, and P. Bush, we are out.